Excellent!
Hello everyone and welcome to my Black Friday deals video for 2023. Yeah, this is kind of a lazy Black Friday deals video because I'm just enjoying some leftover apple pie, gathering some of the choicest tech deals that I could find. This video is not sponsored or endorsed or influenced by any of these companies. It's just me trying to find the best deals I can to share them with you guys. So to get started right out of the gate, you want to check the video subscription down below because I have a link to a shared spreadsheet. This is the TLDR. If you want to skip this video where I'm going to be going over some of these deals, you can just jump straight to that where I have a few tabs. If you go down to the bottom, I have some builds that I've put together, including a $700 build, a more expensive $1,600-ish build. I've got an Intel build that I'll be adding to this as well. I've got a deals tab for CPUs and graphics cards, and then another tab for everything else. I'm going to be updating this spreadsheet and adding more to it and removing things as deals go away. So please come back to this video or this spreadsheet over the course of the weekend because Black Friday is not just celebrated on Black Friday itself. It is expanded and encompassed pretty much the entire month of November at this point. But let's get started by going over this $700-ish build. While this video is not sponsored, it is brought to you by the Paul's Hardware Store, where I am also having a bit of a sale. It's a holiday sale. It's going to extend through December 31st. 10% off orders over $50, 20% off orders over $100, and I believe I do have a few items that have been marked down and discounted as well. But shirts, mugs, pint glasses, you'll see sale marked on certain items that are up for sale. Head over to paulshardware.net, get yourself some nice merchandise while it lasts. It probably will still last, but it is really nice merchandise. Okay, so here's my $700 build on the builds tab, and the nice thing about this build is that I've already assembled it. This is actually pretty much the monthly build for November, so you can check it out. So you can check out that video where I built the system, and I just tested it a few days ago in a video that went up a few days ago as well. So I've determined that the graphics card you're probably going to want to go with for this build is going to be the RX 6650 XT. The 8 gig version of that is down to $220. The way I've formatted this chart is you've got the part in question, I've listed the price, and then below it I have some alternatives if you might want to upgrade. The options are there, like this build, since it's on AM4, has some pros and cons listed over here on the left. So if you're still learning, that should help you out in terms of sort of the benefits of AM4 is that it's cheaper. The downsides is that it's not quite as fast and you have a limited upgrade path, although you can upgrade this build, which starts out with the 5600X, which is down to $140, to something like a 5800X3D or 5950X3D. So the 5600X, $140 over at Amazon. I have an optional air cooler that you can add for about $36 more. You don't need this with the 5600X, but the Wraith Stealth cooler that I was using that comes in the box does struggle a little bit in certain situations, so upgrading that down the line is not a bad idea. We also have a motherboard for $100. I actually swapped this out from the MSI Pro VDH motherboard because that one is up to like $110 or $115 now. For about $100, you should be able to get yourself a solid B550 chipset, AM4 motherboard. This one meets all of the requirements, and it also has built-in Wi-Fi. We also have a memory kit, and 16 gigs is kind of the bare minimum for this sort of budget entry-level build. You want DDR4 3600 speed memory for this platform. This is a $35 kit. It's not too fancy, no RGB or anything like that, but it gets the job done, and it makes sure that your Infinity Fabric is running at the right speed. An upgrade to 32 gigs of memory would be a very good thing to do, so I also have a pretty inexpensive G.Skill Ripjaws kit linked in the video description as a potential upgrade. Here's a look at that 6650 XT that has come down in price to $220. Just recently tested this graphics card. It's really nice, super good deal for $220 for 1080 or 1440 gaming. Then we also, of course, need some storage, so 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte NVMe SSD. M.2 NVMe SSD is going to be the way to go. There's a Team Group 1 terabyte one here for about $47. It's fairly inexpensive. The 2 terabyte version, I'd say, is a little pricey. I would opt for this Acer FA200 if you're going for 2 terabytes right now. That's only $88. And then for the case for this build, I chose the $70 Asus Prime AP201, which is a nice micro ATX case. The build turned out really nice with it. It comes with a single fan, so it has a little bit of cooling. You can add more fans, of course, if you want to. But this build turned out nicely, but of course you have the option to go with mostly any case that you want, as long as you're sticking to micro ATX if you have a micro ATX motherboard. Full-size ATX cases are also pretty inexpensive. The Fantex Eclipse G300A I built with back in October for the October build. That's currently on sale for as little as $60 if you count mail-in rebate, or $40 for the single fan version. So that's probably the least expensive option for a solid case to get you up and running. Oh look, there's even an additional $5 off promo code right now. So I think that brings it down to $35. That's a ridiculous deal for this case. It's a good case, especially for being a budget option. For a power supply, you're going to want at least a power supply that meets the wattage requirements of the graphics card that you've chosen. Or potentially, if you're looking at upgrading your graphics card in the future, you might want to get a power supply that has a few more watts available so that you have more room to upgrade down the line. This, I think, is kind of the best all-around bang for the buck right now. Corsair CX50M. It's 80 plus bronze rated for efficiency, so decently efficient. It's $75, which is a little bit pricier than power supplies of this caliber have gone for in the past, but prices have come up a little bit, and it's semi-modular, which means some of the cables you can remove if you don't need them, which is also very convenient. There's a couple other power supplies listed in the spreadsheet, but this is the one I would opt for right now. Upgrades from there would be going for better efficiency, like 80 plus gold, perhaps a fully modular unit. So I've got this Thermaltake Tough Power one linked, but I'll probably be adding some more of those as the week goes on. If you opt for the 16 gigabyte memory kit and the 1 terabyte NVMe SSD, the total for this build right now with the 5600X, which is a decent step faster than the 5600 without overclocking taken into consideration, is $687, less than $700 out of the gate. So that gives you some room for upgrades or some room to stay within your budget if you're on a strict budget. If you are looking for something a little bit more powerful, a little bit more upgrade friendly perhaps, then the AM5 platform is probably something you should consider. It's going to be a bit more expensive, but this is where some of the best CPUs for gaming currently reside. Not including Intel's current LG A1700 platform, which also has its pros and cons. I also did a video on that recently, so you can check that out if you're interested. And I will post a full Intel build as well in this spreadsheet, although it's not quite ready right now. It should be up by about the time this video goes live. For AM5 though, the benefits are you got DDR5, even though it's a little bit more expensive, it is faster, and you have access to CPUs like the Ryzen 770 800X3D, arguably the best CPU for gaming right now, although it is not quite as good for multitasking and workstation type tasks. For that, you want to go with a higher core count CPU like a 12 or 16 core option. This is an 8-core 16-thread CPU, but it's $360 right now. The upgrades options for this are going to be something like a 7900X, 7950X, or the 7950X3D, which is the best current CPU on this platform. But AMD has promised support for AM5 through 2025, as indicated right here. So we should be seeing more CPUs launch at this. So we should see more CPUs launch for this platform in 2024, maybe even a future generation beyond that. We can't say for sure, but more to come, which is a nice thing to take into consideration when you're building a system, is that potential future upgrade path. Since this is a higher end build, I've just opted for that Thermalright Phantom Spirit 120 SE. Really can't beat this in terms of bang for the buck for an air cooler right now. It is $36. And there's actually two versions of it. I have linked the ARGB version, which has ARGB fans. So if you're not an RGB, there's a Phantom Spirit non-RGB. It's even like 40 cents cheaper or something like that. Maybe $1 cheaper. Both of those are really, really good for air cooling quality though. For the motherboard, we have a Gigabyte B650 Gaming X AX AM5, only $160. That's down about $20 or $30. One of the benefits of Black Friday and building a system is you can shave like 10 bucks here, 20 bucks off there. You can take advantage of promo codes that are available. So you can bring the cost overall of your system down by 30, 40, 50, maybe even more dollars than that if the component you were looking at goes on sale. For memory, a 32 gig kit I'd say would be the baseline for this. DDR5 6000 is the way to go. This is the Flare X5 kit from G.Skill, which has Expo settings and everything. $96 for that. For the video card, we have a $710 XFX Speedster Merc RX 7900 XT, the 20 gigabyte version. This has come down significantly in price, and NVIDIA doesn't really have anything that can touch this at this price unless you're like super into ray tracing. NVIDIA does have some options, but here I will also point out that although this build is a total of about $1,600, the bones of this build are roughly akin to the $1,200 build I did in October. So if you were to downgrade the CPU and downgrade the graphics card a little bit, you could shave $200 or $300 off of this price to get yourself down closer to $1,200 or $1,300. Of course, you'd also be shaving off performance, but again, the bones are kind of the same, and you can swap out parts where needed to get yourself the performance you need or stick within your budget. But this, again, is a really, really good deal for this graphics card. It's cool to see some prices coming down, especially for these medium to high tier options. Rounding things out, I've gone with that 2 terabyte NVMe SSD. I opted for the Fantex Eclipse case in this one. It's still just, I should put $60 here, not $70 if you count that mail-in rebates. Since we haven't gone with a full-size ATX motherboard, we want a full-size ATX case. And then the 750 watt power supply brings that to $1,584. Again, you guys, I'm going to be coming back to this spreadsheet multiple times over the course of this weekend and at the beginning of next week. So I'll be updating it with new deals as they come in. I'll be removing deals as things go out of stock. I'll post a little timestamp when I add an update, so if you come back to it, you can check it. Oh, and I should probably also at least quickly go over the CPUs and GPUs tab, because here we can see I've listed all the CPUs. Don't think that all of the CPUs on here are good deals. My picks are bolded out. So Intel, if you want the fastest Intel has to offer, the 14900K is $552 right now. Is that a great deal? I mean, maybe. It's not bad, considering that the 14900K was $600 plus just a month or two ago. In the mid-range, it's hard to recommend some of these Intel CPUs very much, simply because that 7800X3D is $360. Really tough to compete with that. Although, if you are leaning towards Intel, if you do a lot of Photoshop work, for example, that might be an option, might be a reason for you. These are discounted pretty decently, $10, $15, $20 per CPU. And then down in the budget range, Intel has some 12th gen CPUs that are on really good deals right now, like the 12700K, which has more cores and threads. I can't remember how many because Intel does P cores and E cores. 12700KF, likewise, around $200. Those are solid potential options for something like a 7600X. And then we also have the 12600KF for $140, and that would be your Intel option compared to like the 5600X that I'm recommending for $140. All the CPUs, 12th gen, 13th gen, 14th gen from Intel, currently are compatible with the LGA 1700 platform. Just note that there are probably no more CPUs coming out for that platform beyond the 14th gen lower end models, which are probably going to be coming out in like January CES timeframe. For AMD, we have some solid deals towards the top end, like the 7700X for $300, 7800X3D, which I've already said for $360, 7900X3D, kind of overlooked sometimes, not the best in terms of all-around performance, but for the right price, and right now $433, solid price to get yourself some more cores and threads while still getting the 3D V-Cache gaming performance. 7950X3D going for $582, a bit pricey, but it is kind of the best all around. 7950X is going to be a little bit better for multi-purpose CPU stuff, but I would say 79X3D is the way to go if you are looking for gaming performance. For GPUs, we've got AMD Radeon Options. There's that 7900XT for $710. There's a 6800XT all the way down to $450. There's a 6800 16 gig for $370. Also, really solid deal here. And this is AMD just putting pressure on NVIDIA, who often refuses to lower their prices because they don't care. I don't know. NVIDIA cards are good. They tend to be a lot more money for what you get in terms of performance. We also have the 6750 XT for $322. That's a solid upgrade for that budget build if you want to spend a little bit more cash on the graphics card for a little bit more gaming performance. 6700 XT is down to $300, and then the recently recommended budget options, which is a 6650 XT for $220, or down on the Intel Arc side, the A770 is down to $210. The A750 is down to $180. The A580 is down to $160, but I'd say 20 more bucks for the A750 would be worth it if that's what you're looking at. Or of course, you've got the 6600 also providing Intel with some competition down there. NVIDIA, yeah, you've got a few options here. 4070 Ti for $715, less than it could be. I would still opt for the 7900 XT for $710 versus that, though. It will give you a lot more raw performance. The 4070 for $515 is also a good option. It probably would be beaten by the 6800 XT at $450 or the 6800 at $370 even. And then we had the 4060 Ti at $450, which is mostly notable because it's $50 off its MSRP, which was $500. Oh, and also note that for that 4070 Ti deal, you need both a $20 promo code and a $30 mail-in rebate. All right, that covers sort of a once-over for what I currently have set up on my spreadsheet. It is linked in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'm gonna finish my pie, have a drink, enjoy the weekend. I hope you guys enjoy the weekend too. I will be coming back to this most likely either on Sunday or Monday to do a follow-up, catch up with you guys. If you guys have anything you'd like to see from me, suggestions, comments, feedback, if you want to see me do some fancy tricks or share my pie recipe again, leave those in the comment section down below. Also, there's a link to my store in the description. Remember, there is a holiday sale going on there as well. Thank you so much again for watching this video. Thumbs up button on your way out. We'll see you all in the next video.